Hello and welcome. So today I have a very special and interesting video for you because I will be sharing with you my top picks, my favorite fragrance for spring within each brand in my collection. Currently, I have just about over 500 bottles just for niche and designer. So as you can imagine, it was a bit overwhelming to go through this process of just selecting one spring fragrance, my top spring fragrance by brand. To make this a bit more efficient and less time consuming, I applied some criteria for the selection of the brands. Today I will be sharing with you a total of 31 fragrances representing 31 brands in my collection where I have a minimum of 5 bottles. It is my intention to make this a bit of a series, so in the second video I will be sharing with you my favorite spring fragrance within brands where I don't have 5 or more bottles. Then in a third video, I will be sharing with you my top 10 picks for spring within my entire fragrance collection. I will be ranking them for you and I will also be providing you with a brief review. But before we jump right in, if this is your first time here, I'm Arahi. And in this channel, we love to talk about fragrances because we love to smell fabulous at all times. I upload videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays, and sometimes I even have a bonus video for you. If that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started, but I wanted to let you know that I'm going to be moving rather quickly because I do have 31 fragrances to share with you and we don't want to be here all day. So I'm going to move rather quickly, but if there's a fragrance that you would like me to review in detail, please just let me know in the comments section, and if I haven't reviewed it already on the channel, I'll be sure to do so. All right, so the first brand that I want to speak to you about today is a brand that I absolutely love. I have quite a number of their fragrances, but this one that I'm going to share with you is definitely my favorite for the spring season. I just think it is perfection for spring. And I'm speaking about Nishane's Wulong Cha. This fragrance, oh my goodness. It opens up quite citrusy, it is fresh, spicy, it has like a tad of a green note to it. It is just perfection for spring. The next fragrance that I'm going to share with you is from a brand that is my favorite brand. And I'm sure that if you've been with me for a while, you already know that I'm speaking about Xerjoff. I absolutely love their fragrances and I have quite a large collection. But this next fragrance is definitely my favorite for spring and sometimes even for the summer season. I love to pull this fragrance towards the middle of spring, towards the end of spring in preparation for summer, because it has an incredible note of mango and guava. And I am speaking about Xerjoff's Cruise del Sur 2. Now this fragrance, oh my goodness, guys. At first sniff, you are going to get the most beautiful combination of mango and guava. This is one of just 2 fragrances in my collection where I find the note of guava done beautifully. I have this one and then I have Amouage Pink to Pink. But this fragrance, oh my goodness, it is fruity. It has a very strong like tropical twist. It is sweet. But I tell you, it is perfection for spring. And you can even, of course, use it and transition into summer. Now, I have to admit that I did cheat just a little bit because my Xerjoff collection is so large that I just could not pick one fragrance. So what I did was I selected one from Xerjoff and another one from Casamorati. So my number 1 pick from the Casamorati line for spring is Dolce Amalfi. This fragrance is absolutely beautiful and perfect for the spring season. It opens up warm, spicy, It is a bit sweet with a beautiful vanilla, and then there's like a fruitiness to it. But this fragrance is just perfect for the spring season and will transition you beautifully into the summer. The next fragrance is from a fragrance house that I really enjoy. I have so many of their fragrances that are just perfect for different seasons, but this one I think is just beautiful for spring. And I'm speaking about Atelier d'Or's Pink Me Up. Now this fragrance, oh my goodness, what I love about this fragrance is that it is like a happy fragrance. It makes you feel bubbly and happy and puts a pep in your step. It is perfect for the spring season. But I love how they've done the fruitiness in this fragrance in combination with the champagne. When you sniff it, it's almost like you pick up on that fizziness of champagne. It is just a delightful fragrance and perfect for the spring season. The next fragrance that I want to share with you is Kind Intentions from Navitus Parfums. Now this fragrance was done in collaboration with Paulina Shar. She's a fellow content creator here on YouTube. I will leave her information in the description box, but she is really awesome and knows so much about fragrances. You should really check her channel out. I love how spontaneous she is and how honest and clear about her thoughts. Anyway, so this fragrance, guys, oh my goodness. I love it because it opens up in such a beautiful way with like a powderiness that's not overwhelming. This fragrance is quite powdery, but there's like, for me, there's like a freshness and like a marine quality to the fragrance that makes it perfect for the spring season. This, of course, is also a fragrance that you can use during the summer and even during the fall. But for me, this is spring perfection. The next fragrance that I want to share with you is from a fragrance house that I absolutely enjoy. And I have so many bottles from this house, but this one is definitely my favorite fragrance for spring. And I'm speaking about Tiziana Terenzi's Cassiopeia. Now this fragrance is a beautiful, sweet, tropical, like fruity, aromatic, definitely with some vanilla and a musk base. But this fragrance is just absolutely perfect for spring. This is the type of fragrance that makes you happy when you wear it. It adds like a cheer to your day. It's also one that will get you quite a number of compliments. The next fragrance that I want to share with you is from Fragrance Dubois, and it's Oud Orange Intense. This is a fragrance that, guys, I so highly recommend. This fragrance is beautifully done and it's perfect for the spring season. Now, I want to make sure that just because the name says Oud Orange Intense, you're not believing that it really has a very prominent oud note, because it doesn't. Actually, to my nose, the oud is kind of negligible. I mean, it's there, but it's very faint, like in the background. Because this fragrance, which is what this fragrance house is really known for, has been blended exceptionally well. There's really nothing loud or screechy in any part of the olfactory journey with this fragrance, and even after dry down. This fragrance has quite a bit of vanilla. It is sweet, it is fruity, but it's not cloying at all. It is perfection for the spring season. The next fragrance on my list, I'm not going to talk much about because I have a review on my channel and I have talked about this fragrance to exhaustion here. And I'm speaking about Bond Number 9 Nolita. Truly, guys, there's nothing more that I need to say except that this is spring in a bottle. This is absolute perfection. And as you guys know, this is overall my #1 pick from the entire Bond Number 9 fragrance house. This next fragrance I also won't spend a lot of time on because I just talked about it in a recent video. And this is a brand that I am absolutely in love with. I have quite a number of their fragrances and they are all just a delight and such an experience. They provide such an incredible experience, not to mention the number of compliments that you will get with them. There's a smoothness and an elegance to each one of their fragrances that's really, really remarkable. And I am speaking about Bois 1920 Classic Paradise. Now this is a beautiful citrusy fragrance. Oh my goodness, guys. It has quite a bit of citrus to the opening. It's a little bit woody. It's a little bit sweet. It is just perfect. And then it's also very, very fresh. Perfect for the spring season. The next fragrance on my list is also one that I've talked about here on my channel before, so I won't spend much time on it. But this one is, of all of my fragrances from this fragrance house, this one to me really kicked it out of the ballpark. It was just launched last year, and for my first sniff, I fell in love and I knew that it was perfection for spring. And I'm speaking about the House of Oud Wabi Sabi. Now this next fragrance is from a fragrance house that obviously, if I have 5 bottles or more, I absolutely love and respect their DNA. And I'm speaking about Stephane Humbert Luca's Mango Kiss. Now this fragrance, guys, oh my goodness, this is an incredible mango fragrance. But here's the thing. Typically, I like to reserve my mango fragrances for the summer. But when it comes to this specific fragrance, I think it is perfect, not just for summer, but for the spring season. And I tend to start pulling just to get myself in that summer mood vibe. But this fragrance, although it has that mango, it is not like a syrupy mango. It is like a fresh but juicy and ripe mango. It also has some florals, some coconut, and a good amount of vanilla. It is just a beautiful fragrance for spring. So the next fragrance that I want to share with you may surprise you a little bit, but I am speaking about House of Sillage Whispers of Innocence. So I know you're probably wondering, why did she pick Whispers of Innocence versus Whispers of Truth, which is such an incredible and beautiful fragrance? Whispers of Truth was actually the contender, and it was quite hard to just select this one. But there is something about this fragrance that I have always absolutely loved. So this fragrance has quite a bit of yellow florals, and I think that they're done exquisitely. But in addition to those yellow florals, there's some like honey and beeswax, and it's a bit sweet, has a touch of like an animalic quality to it, and quite a bit of vanilla. I think this is perfect for the spring season. I think this fragrance will transition you beautifully into spring and out of spring into the summer. But of course, Whispers of Truth was my second choice. The next fragrance on my list is from a fragrance house that, if you've been with me for a while, you know that I absolutely love their fragrances. I think that whenever I have a video with more than 5 fragrances, I end up pulling them for whatever reason. But I'm speaking about BDK's Tuberose Imperial. This fragrance, guys, oh my goodness. Like the name says it, it is really all about the tuberose. Tuberose is the star. So if you're into tuberose and you haven't gotten your nose on this fragrance, I really recommend that you do, because this fragrance has been done exquisitely and it is perfection for the spring season. The next brand and fragrance, of course, guys, will not come as a surprise, because how could you have your top picks and not include them? But of course, I'm speaking about Parfums de Marly de Lina La Rosée. Now let me tell you, it was quite difficult to just pick this fragrance, because there's others and I have so many of their bottles in my collection. But this one, guys, I just think that, oh my goodness, there is such a beautiful and inherent freshness and crispness to the rose in this fragrance that I just had to select it. And this is one that as soon as we start to approach spring, I start to pull and layer with it and do all types of things. I just absolutely think that this fragrance is perfect for the spring season. So the next fragrance is from a fragrance house that I absolutely love. Their fragrances are not to be taken lightly because they are powerhouses. So you have to be really careful what occasions you use them for and the amount that you spray. These are not fragrances that you want to overspray at all, but they have such a beautiful collection of fragrances. But you must love intense fragrances to really enjoy their portfolio of fragrances. And I'm speaking about Argos Adonis Awakens. Now this fragrance, guys, I absolutely love it because it opens up quite citrusy, but at that you will find that there's also a good amount of vanilla. It is fresh, spicy, it is fruity, it has quite a bit of a rose presence, but the rose is like a very modern type of rose note. It is just an incredible fragrance, and it is perfect for special occasions during the spring. This is not a fragrance that I would pull to go to the office ever or for a casual occasion during the spring season, but this is definitely one that I've reserved for special occasions. This is also one that, my goodness, the performance is unbelievable and will also get you quite a number of compliments as the projection and sillage are out of this world. The next fragrance that I want to share with you is from a brand, guys, that I have discussed this on the channel before, but the moment that I got my nose on one of their fragrances, their fragrance house became immediately an obsession for me. And at this point, I have 5 bottles and I just discovered them. I think it was either last year or the year before that. But I tell you, their fragrances are just exceptional. I'm speaking about Nuit Nomade Love at First Sight. Oh my goodness, guys. This is an incredible fragrance for spring. This has the most beautiful combination of passion fruit and lilac. It's just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. This is a fragrance that you can dress up, you can dress it down, any occasion, day and night, and you are going to smell incredible. The next fragrance that I have for you will not come as a surprise because if you're a fragrance lover, I'm sure that you've gotten your nose on this fragrance or you've at least heard all of the hype around it, which by the way is so very deserved in my opinion. And I am speaking about Micallef's Lang in Gold. This fragrance, guys, oh my goodness. This to me is like elegance in a bottle for spring. It is just perfection. I have another fragrance from Micallef that I love to pull for the spring season, and it's Mon Parfum Pearl. And it was such a close contender, but I just could not select this one as my top pick because this is just everything for spring. If you want a fragrance that makes you smell beautiful and feminine and elegant and smooth and refined and classy, this is your friend. The next fragrance that I have on my list is from a brand that I absolutely love. I have so many of their fragrances, and the beauty of having their fragrances is your ability to layer them one with the other. It is just absolutely perfection and so much fun. And I'm speaking about Kayali's Citrus 08. Now this may come as a surprise because, my goodness, if you've been with me for a while, you know that I love Yum Pistachio Gelato. I just absolutely love that fragrance. And I actually pull it all throughout the year. But Citrus 08, guys, no, Citrus 08 is perfection for spring. And you can layer it with just about anything, especially the other fragrances that you may have within your Kayali collection. The next fragrance that I want to share with you is a fragrance that is quite new to my collection. But when I tell you that I am absolutely in love with this fragrance, I mean it. And the beauty is that this fragrance has a note that I don't have in any other fragrance. I just did a video on the collection that this fragrance is a part of, and I'm sure you'll recall my reaction to my first sniff of this fragrance. And I'm speaking about Jo Malone Sunlit Cherry Moya. This fragrance, oh my goodness, guys. Guys, this is truly spring in a bottle. This is just so perfect for spring. It is refreshing, but it still has some character to it because within this collection, there's a couple of other fragrances that I also really enjoy, but I think that they're going to be even better for the summer. They are good for spring, but I think they'll be even better for the summer. But this one, I think this is the perfect fragrance to transition you into spring. So the next fragrance on my list is from a brand that is very known and respected by many. And it is a brand that I have enjoyed for quite some time. But this fragrance debunked two of my favorite fragrances for the spring and summer seasons. They had been in that top spot for quite some time, but when this fragrance came into the scene, oh, it was all over. And I'm speaking about Creed Wind Flowers. Oh my goodness, guys, this fragrance, if you haven't gotten your nose on it, you really, really, really need to try to. So before this fragrance, I had two fragrances because, you know, with Creed, you can definitely layer within their own portfolio of fragrances. Before Windflowers came along, I was all about the Vetiver Geranium and the Aqua Fiorentina fragrances. Oh my goodness. I still have them in my collection and I still layer with them, but Windflowers has taken that spot. The next fragrance on my list is from a fragrance house that you guys know that I absolutely love. I've talked about their fragrances so very much on this channel, and I'm speaking about Amouage Sunshine Woman. This fragrance, oh my goodness. This is, to me, honestly, this is like the name says it, but this to me is like sunshine in a bottle. Truly, it is just a delightfully beautiful and perfect for spring fragrance. I have another fragrance in my Amouage collection that I really prefer to pull for the summer season, but this one is perfection for spring. The next fragrance on my list is from a brand that I believe does not get as much recognition as it should because it has quite a number of fragrances that are very special. There is a smoothness to their fragrances and there is like an art to their fragrances. And I'm speaking about the Merchant of Venice Rosa Moceniga. This fragrance, if you want the most beautiful rose for the spring season, a rose that is fresh and modern and crisp, not jammy, this is your fragrance. This is perfection. If you are a rose fragrances lover, you must get your nose on this fragrance and you can thank me later. The next fragrance is from a fragrance house that I talk about so much on this channel because it's another fragrance house that I don't think gets the recognition that it really should. And I'm speaking about Royal Crown Alchemia. Wow, this fragrance is also a rose fragrance, but this one is a bit different because this is like a sweetened modern rose with a little bit of like dewiness to it is what I pick up on my nose. But the real beauty of this fragrance is that there's a note of honey that is done beautifully. And that note of honey to my nose is always in the background of that modern, crisp, beautiful, dewy rose. In addition to that rose, you also have some white florals in here. And at the dry down, it is a bit powdery. There is nothing dated about this rose fragrance. It is so beautiful. I really would say that this is a pretty modern rose fragrance. The next fragrance on my list is from a fragrance house that also has powerhouse fragrances. When I talk beast mode, there's not one fragrance in my collection from this fragrance house that is not full on beast mode. So if that's how you like your fragrances, you may want to get your nose on some of their fragrances. But I have just talked about this next one recently and I can't remember what video it was, but I did talk about it and I just had to bring it up again because it is my #1 pick for spring within my collection of this fragrance house. And I'm speaking about Electimuss Vixir. Incredible. If you are into violet fragrances and you haven't gotten your nose on this one, please do. Please do, because I promise you, you are going to fall in love with this fragrance. This is a no joke violet fragrance. It opens up quite citrusy, and immediately powdery, because there's quite a bit of violet and iris in this fragrance, and I do pick up on it, but it's beautifully done. There's also like a bit of sweetness and a very balanced undertone of like a musk. But when I tell you this fragrance is perfection, and it is not one that I hear people talk about at all. But when I tell you, if you are a violet and iris lover, you have to get your nose on this fragrance. The next fragrance on my list is from a fragrance house that I absolutely enjoy. All of their fragrances, at least the ones that I've selected to have as a part of my permanent collection, are fragrances that are just so powerful, so like statement making. And this one is no different. This one is perfection for spring, in my opinion. And I'm speaking about Quinto Canto's Strychnina. Now this fragrance has a beautiful, oh my gosh, a beautiful note of passion fruit. This, of course, is a sweet fragrance, but not cloying. It's a bit green. It has a little bit of citrusness to it, and it's actually quite fresh. But when I tell you that that note of passion fruit is kind of like the star to my nose, and that note gives it a bit of like a tropical twist. But although it has that tropical twist, this fragrance for me speaks of spring beautifully. So if you are a Tom Ford lover, this next fragrance will not come as a surprise to you, because there's a couple of fragrances within the Tom Ford range of fragrances that are just like perfection for the spring season. And I did have a hard time picking between this one and another one, but at the end of the day, absolutely, Soleil Blanc from Tom Ford. This fragrance, guys, if you've never gotten your nose on it and you're looking for something that is definitely a fragrance that you can use for any occasion, day or night, and that will keep you in that smoothness and beauty of spring, then you're talking about Soleil Blanc. This is obviously a fragrance that you can also use for the summer season, but for me, this is perfection for spring. Now this next fragrance is a fragrance that I talked about in a recent video, and it is from a fragrance house that I am absolutely in love with. I have so many of their fragrances, but this one that I'm going to share with you, without a shadow of a doubt, is perfection for spring. And it is definitely one of my favorites within my favorites. And I'm speaking about Gritti Siracusa. Now Siracusa is a fragrance that, it opens up with a ton of white florals. It is a fragrance that has quite a bit of greenness to it. But, you know, my mentioning white florals and quite a bit of greenness may immediately make you raise an eyebrow like, Arahi, really? Isn't that a bit much? Am I going to get a headache? But that is the beauty of this fragrance, that it is all about those white florals, and there is definitely greenness in this fragrance. But when I tell you it has been balanced and smoothed out to perfection, it's like if you're walking during the spring season into a garden that has a ton of white florals. There's all types of beautiful plants, and as you're walking along, there's like a dewy mist to the grass, and you can smell the grass in combination with the flowers. It is just perfection. But at all that, it's done in a very modern, like in a type of edgy kind of way. There's quite a bit of vanilla also here, which brings sweetness to the forefront. It is an absolutely, oh my goodness, this fragrance is just unbelievable. Please try and get your nose on it, because I really, really believe you will love it. So this next fragrance is from one of my top favorite fragrance houses. And this fragrance, guys, let me tell you, there's so many fragrances that I love that I have within my collection from them. But this one, when it comes to spring, there is no question about it. And there's others that are perfect for spring also within my collection. But this one, no, nothing stands in the way of Guerlain's Jasmine Bonheur. And I've talked about this fragrance before. Let me just say, if you are an iris and violet lover, this is another fragrance that you have to get your nose on. This fragrance is everything, and it is perfection for spring. There's a mix of iris and violet with some beautifully done, oh my goodness, white florals. It is powdery. It has a bit of earthiness and a bit of woodiness. Just absolute perfection. You just cannot go wrong with this fragrance. And when I tell you the performance, outstanding. And the compliments, non-stop. Just a beautifully done, exquisitely blended fragrance. This next fragrance, guys, is from a brand that I just don't think gets the recognition that it should. And this fragrance that I'm going to share with you, you want to pay attention if you're a tuberose lover, because this one, oh my goodness, has been done to perfection. And I'm speaking about EBK's Moonstone and Tuberose. Wow, that's all I can say about this fragrance. When I tell you, gorgeous, stunning, incredible fragrance. This fragrance, of course, opens with a ton of white florals. But you are not going to get a headache from this fragrance, because the beauty of the DNA of their fragrances is that they're so exquisitely smooth, but yet they're powerful, because the performance of this fragrance is surreal. The sillage on this fragrance is so strong. This gets me a ton of compliments. This is spring sophisticated elegance in a bottle. It is a little bit powdery. It is musky. It has like a bit of an animalic quality to it, which adds edge overall to the fragrance. This fragrance to me is just true perfection. Please try and get your nose on this fragrance. I know it's not easy to get a hold of them, but if you go on their Instagram account for EBK and you DM them, they will definitely send you all the information, and they do sell samples. But anyway, guys, try and get your nose on it if you are a tuberose lover, because oh my goodness, this is exceptional. The next fragrance is from a fragrance house that is also one of my top favorites. And this fragrance house, guys, all of their fragrances, at least on my skin, are beast mode and powerhouses. There's nothing demure. It's not that they're loud, but there's just nothing demure or weak about their fragrances. When they choose the notes of a fragrance for their blend, it's like they really, really want to make sure that you know that those notes are there. And I'm speaking about Initio's Paragon. Now, of all of the fragrances, and I have quite a number of their fragrances, of all of their fragrances, this one is truly my favorite for spring. But if I'm honest with you, because these fragrances are so intense and so powerful, this is a fragrance that I like to pull so that it can transition me from the winter months into spring. And this is one that I typically don't use at the beginning of the summer at all. So this is truly a fragrance that I love to pull for the spring season. It is woody, aromatic. There's a bit of fruitiness here. It is fresh, spicy, with a note of lavender that has been done exquisitely, and some citrusness which adds to that perfect vibe for spring. This is a very beautiful fragrance. This is a fragrance that you can dress down, you can dress up, any occasion, day or night. Just perfection for spring. The next is a fragrance from a fragrance house that is also at the very top of my favorite fragrance houses. And this is a fragrance that is very, very dear to me, because I have a dedicated review for this fragrance on my channel, and I compared it to one of my favorite fragrances of all time, which is Bulgari Tigr. And I am speaking about Sospiro's Vibrato. Now, I know this fragrance has a lot of controversy behind it, because it was so hyped, and some people think that it's great, other people think that it's not. Oh my goodness, but when I tell you, this scent is heavenly. I absolutely love it. And every time I pull this fragrance and I use it, I just feel like I'm using Bulgari Tigr. Like, seriously. Are you familiar with Bulgari Tigr and with Sospiro's Vibrato? Do you see what I mean? That they're just basically the same fragrance. But I absolutely love it, and I don't hate having this one and my Bulgari fragrance. It opens up with quite a bit of citrusness. It's powdery, it's fresh, spicy, it has some greenness to it. It's musky and quite aromatic. It is a beautiful, beautiful fragrance that, in my opinion, is just perfect for the spring season. Let me know if you've tried Vibrato and what are your thoughts on it. I also have to tell you that if you're one of those people that does not love Vibrato, the close contender in my selection, which it took everything for me to just select this one, but the contender was Dolce Melodia. When I tell you that fragrance is exquisite and perfection for spring. If you haven't gotten your nose on both of these fragrances, just try to get yourself a sample or a decant, because when I tell you they are just exquisite, you are going to love them. So this next fragrance is also from a designer fragrance house. But I think you may have noticed that in today's selection of the brands where I have 5 or more bottles in my collection, there's been very few designer fragrances. I think I've only covered like 2 other fragrances, or maybe just one. I think it was just Tom Ford. But this next one is a designer fragrance house that, guys, when I tell you, I am obsessed with them. Every time they launch something, I just want to go get it because they have never disappointed me. I am absolutely in love with their DNA, with the performance of their fragrances. Just everything is just exquisite. And I am speaking about Trussardi's Alba sui Navigli. Now this fragrance, oh boy. Can you please let me know if you've ever tried any of the Trussardi fragrances? I am absolutely in love with this. This fragrance is perfection for spring. It opens with a ton of, a ton of citrus notes. It is fresh, spicy, it is aromatic, it is definitely green, but it's a green that's done smoothly and beautifully. There's nothing like screechy about it. It's just beautiful. It's also got like some woodiness going on in the background. It's just perfection. This fragrance for me is not one that I would pull during the summer. I just really think that this is one of those fragrances, at least to my nose and for my preferences, that is just perfect for the spring season. Alright guys, so we have reached the end of this video, and please remember that there will be 2 more videos coming up as a follow-up to this one and as part of this series. Anyway guys, thank you so much for hanging with me today as usual, and I will see you in the next video.